What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner. This is going to be the second part of um, of the series of videos that I will be doing to help you make currency that is comparable to what I'm making. Um, I ended yesterday's gaming session at about 36 exalts on actual currency earnings. I still have some items that I picked up yesterday that I'm not counting that I haven't sold yet. Um, And so far today, I haven't played very much because I've been doing other stuff and I'm sick. I had gotten on a little while ago and I decided to get off for a little while just because I don't feel good. But I made three exalts in the process of gaining like 20% of a level and leveling up. Um, so I make good currency consistently. Um, the 2 days before that, I made 20 exalts. It's not like one day I made a bunch of currency and then, I'm never making good currency. I'm always making good currency. Sometimes I'll make way more than usual. Sometimes I play longer. Sometimes I play less. Um, so it does fluctuate. It is an RNG based game, but I make a lot of currency every time I play. Plain and simple. So today, what we are going to be doing, I told you in the previous video, I want you guys to start thinking like me. A big part of that is I want you guys to understand the things that I'm telling you and why I'm telling you them. And I want you to understand the reason behind the things that I'm telling you to do. So it makes sense to you. Because, if I can tell you why I'm thinking what I'm thinking and you can understand it, first of all, you'll be able to start you know, discerning things that are bullshit in the game. Because what is one of the biggest things that is a waste of time in this game that makes you not gain currency? Well, it's when you hear something and you don't know it's bullshit, so you wind up doing that thing, and it just winds up wasting a ton of your time. And then at the end of it, you're disappointed, you're unhappy about your results because you were lied to. And that sucks. I've experienced that in this game. I've experienced it in previous games. It's normally when I first start a game because I don't know anything about the game. So I take a lot of people's advice and I test it. And in general, like 95% of it is just bullshit. Um, but I'm going to be realistic with you guys. Um, you can, some evidence of that is in my videos. Do I cherry pick? Do I cherry pick videos? Hell no. Do I rerun maps over and over until everything that I do is deathless, and I have the best videos with the best drops and no deaths? Hell no. If I die 2 or 3 times, I post that video. Assuming the only time I don't post videos is if I actually fuck up the content, which that does happen. Like, I tried to record this video several times, and because I was sick, I wasn't able to complete the video. I'm not gonna post a video where I have to take my dog out. I'm like, I'll be right back, guys. Like, don't worry, I gotta take my dog out. I'm gonna continue this in like 5 minutes. Just sit here and look at my screen, or fast forward, or watch me sit here and cough and blow my nose for 5 minutes. I'm not gonna do that shit to you. Obviously, I would like to get it done the first time, but unfortunately, with this video, that hasn't worked out. Anyways, I am going to be kind of giving you my breakdown on the different mechanics of the game in relation to this season. In general, the way that I look at mechanics in the game, you are going to be able to apply to different seasons. Um, Practicing this stuff is going to benefit you in the future. And the more you play, and the more you practice this type of stuff, the more currency you're going to gain. Because the thing is you might have first looked at this video and thought, what is the one thing that this guy is going to tell me to do? Because what is it that every person, I mean, like every video I see where someone's trying to tell you how to make currency, they're like, this shit is crazy. It's crazy, man. This is the best thing in the game. Only do this thing. And I mean, that's just clickbait garbage, and it's very misleading. And why is that? I'm going to explain it to you from a business point of view. Think about your think about your account like like it's your company, which it's a lot like a company. We have capital, that's our resource, that's our currencies, that's our capital, and then we have resources that would be like items, uh, it's like raw materials if you're producing something. You can think about whatever works for you. So I'm gonna use Blight maps as my first example. Are Blight maps good? Yes. Have I said that? Yes. Have I ever been like, Blight maps are crazy, it's the only thing you should do? Blight maps, Blight maps, Blight maps. Hell no. Why is that? Because if I told you you should, Blight maps is the best thing in the game, and that's all you should be doing, that completely changes the earnings of those blight maps. And why does it change the earnings of those blight maps? Because it is no longer I run the map and it takes me, 10 to 15 minutes to complete the map and clear all the loot, and then I average my profit over that 15 minutes. No, I have capital that I have to invest. And at this point in the league, red blight maps, which I wouldn't run at this point in the league. If I was going to buy a map, there's no way in hell I would buy anything lower than a tier 13 because simple fact, tier 13 plus is the only map that can drop gold oils. So I'm not going to do a tier 12 because one of the best inherent drops in blight maps is the golden oil. So why would I do a map that can't even drop that? Um, So with the place where blight maps are at right now in the league, oh, I got one right here. Blight maps are starting at like 40 chaos. On top of that, we have more capital that goes into every map. And what is that capital? We have to anoint them. And if you're not anointing them, you're missing out on currency. What are the currencies that we can, what are the combinations that we can do for this? Probably the two best are these two combinations right here. If you're doing lower tier ones or you're broke, you can do triple teal. You're losing by the difference between teal and red. You're losing 3 lucky chests, um, and you only get 6. So that's like you're losing a third of your lucky chests. If you're buying blight maps, 100%, you should not be doing amber oils because those just make the maps easier. If you're at a place where you're buying maps, it should be all oils that are beefing up the mods because you're starting in a hole. You're not at a level playing field and everything's profit because that map costs you something and then your oils cost you something. So let's say ideally you're able to run blight maps at the cheapest possible price, which I can tell you for a fact that shit is not happening. And why is that? Because there's some blight maps at 40 chaos, but when all you're doing is buying blight maps and there's other people buying blight maps, you think they're going to stay at 40 chaos? And think about it like this. You buy all the 40 chaos blight maps, then you run out. There's only blight maps on the thing that are 45. What now happens when a new person goes to sell a map? Do you think they're gonna go look and be like, oh, the cheapest one's 45? Well, I guess I should price it for 40. Hell no. At the most, they're gonna be like, I'm gonna price it for 44 because that's smart. If they want to sell it right away, they have the cheapest one by down pricing it by 1 chaos. It's the first one that'll show up. It will be the first one to sell. There's no reason to sell for any less than what it takes to be the cheapest. Absolutely no reason. Um, I would never do that. And in fact, with something, if I was selling something like a blight map or something that is going to get bought, I ain't even gonna price it at the lowest price unless there's a lot at that lowest price. Like if there's like 40, 50 of them at that lowest price, then yeah, I'm gonna undercut it because there's a lot to choose from. But if there's only like 4 or 5 of them at 45 and the next cheapest one's 50, you think I'm gonna price it at 45? Hell no. I'm gonna price it at 49 because most likely 5 of them are gonna sell and then mine's gonna be the cheapest one. I'm gonna try and maximize my profit. And the thing with blight maps is honestly where they're at right now is probably the cheapest that they will be all season. And why is that? Because there's gonna be people that do the blight maps, blight maps, blight maps. And they're going to go up in price. They've already been rising in price consistently. I did buy Blight maps in the first few days of the league, but why did I do that? They were 1 to 3 chaos. I was investing hardly nothing. Like the cost for the map was less than the cost for my oils. Like, anyways, in our hypothetical situation, I bought this map. I bought a tier 13. It cost me 40 chaos. Now I want to try and maximize my profit. I gotta invest more chaos. I'm now like 55 chaos. I think they're like 5 apiece. Let me check. That's what they were yesterday. Let's see. Okay, they're 4 chaos. So we're at 52 chaos. Then I gotta chisel them. We're at 56 chaos. You can't be like it's gonna take me one alk, so I only gotta count one alk. No, dude. If you're running blight maps consistently, it's some of the maps. Yes, you're going to hit it with one alk, and you're gonna be done because you're gonna get a good roll. The thing is, there are some nasty combinations that can wind up on your blight maps. And if I've now got 56 chaos invested in a map, do you think I'm going to do that map with temp chains and monster movement speed and monster health? Hell no. Especially because I'm playing at Awakened Learner level 8, which means all of those mods on the maps are getting buffed up by 24%. You can roll 70% monster life. That would mean almost 100% monster life on those maps. You think that I want to happen to get a bad blight map that I've invested 56 chaos into, and a boss spawns, this far on my screen away from the thing, and he's got 40% increased movement speed, increased by 24% of that, making him 50% faster with 100% more health? Hell no, because I'm going to lose that map. I mean, it's just you can get bad spawns like that, and if you have bad mods on a map that winds up spawning bad blight positions, you can wind up losing, even if you are really good. Like I have over 100 blight maps this season alone, and I have failed 2 maps. And I explained one of them was probably maybe just being overconfident and stupid by playing, high tier red maps with a 4 link, but I'm pretty good at it. So, messing up one when they were that cheap, it wasn't really a big deal to me because I was still making good profit. But my opportunity cost was not that high. Why? Because I was using a 4 link weapon. I was trying to get gear upgrades. I wasn't making a lot of currency because I was in bad gear and I couldn't run, tier 16 maps at like 3 to 5 minutes a map. So my opportunity cost, which an opportunity cost is what you're giving up to do another action, and that's something you really have to think about. When you're thinking I'm going to do a blight map, you have to think I'm going to make an estimated X amount of money and it's going to take me 15 minutes. Well, what's my opportunity cost? I could just run maps and, say like I've found a map that I can run in 3 minutes, which there are maps you can run in 3 minutes. There's some you can run in under 3 minutes with the boss kill, with the metamorphosis kill. So I'm going to be able to run 5 maps in that amount of time. Is it worthwhile for me to run this blight map instead of running those 5 maps? Which one's going to be more profitable to me? That's an opportunity cost. So when you compare those 5 maps to a blight map that you have picked up in a map, it's probably going to be worth it. But when you add an extra 40 chaos to the cost of it, now you have capital going into it. So now it's like 5 maps that are going to cost me five alchemies, or even if I'm buffing it up, it's going to cost me 10 chisels and 5 alchemies, or maybe even 10 chisels, 5 alchemies, and 5 vault orbs. So you're talking about 5, 6, 7, and maybe like 8 chaos to run 5 maps versus 60. We're gonna call it 68 because realistically, I would say like 4 chances on average is what it's gonna take to get a good blight map. And like I said, if you've already got 56 invested in the map, what's 4 chaos? Do I want to risk losing 56 chaos and all the loot that I would have gotten? Or do I want to spend an extra 4 chaos when I roll a map bad and make sure that it's good? So, like you've got like 60 chaos into this map, so you're in the whole 60 chaos. So it ain't the comparison of these 5 maps versus this blight map. Now it's these 5 maps versus this blight map minus 60 chaos. Which one's going to be better for me? Well, and this one's minus, 8, we'll call it 9. So there's 51 extra chaos that I have to be making on average in this blight map now, just to be equivalent to the maps. Granted, right now you might be able to do 3 maps in 15 minutes. So that's also a factor, but you're probably, if you're only doing average even on fast maps, 3 minutes, 5 minutes per map, then you're probably also going to be spending more time on the blight encounter. Um, so they're kind of going to be proportional in your efficiency. There are some mechanics that you really can't speed up. Like there's boss fights that even if you instant kill them, they have mechanics that pause. And I mean it's like the spider's den, the is it Queen Armada? You DPS her down, even if you get her to death on the first stage, she pops down, heals, sits down in there. You have to fight some stuff, and then she pops up somewhere else. That's unavoidable time. Even if your DPS is I shoot her once and she's at 0 HP, she's not insta killable. So there is stuff. There are factors like that. There's also factors in maps. Like I could hit a map where, a legion spawns, I get breaches, and I get a blight encounter. Obviously, that map's gonna take me longer, but all of those things are worthwhile doing. So am I gonna be upset? Shit, man, I had to do a blight encounter, I had to do a legion, I had to do 2 breaches, and it took me 7 minutes. Instead of my 5 that I'm shooting for. Are you gonna be upset about that? Hell no, because you got a bunch of extra currency. Um, but that's just like a general target, and you should always be like trying to push yourself to, I just started doing this. It takes me 6 minutes average. I'm gonna see if I can get down to 5. If you're doing it consistently at 5, I'm gonna try and get to 4. That's how you get better. And like I've said several times in comments and in the videos, you can definitely, you will definitely make more currency if you listen to what I am saying. For me, I can't tell you you're going to make as much currency as me. And the reason why is because I have a lot of experience doing this, because these are my farming methods. This is my data. I've been practicing this. I've been doing this. I have a lot of knowledge. Someone might be watching this though that has more knowledge than me, knowledge that I don't have, and then they might take my ideas and they might make more currency. That's possible too. They could be better at the game and they just needed the knowledge and they might wind up, making more currency than me. That's extremely possible. I'm not saying I'm not saying I know everything about this game, but making currency, I know I'm really good at making currency. I know I've tested all this stuff myself. I know how it works. I know what pays me the most currency. That's what I spent the beginning of the season doing, was testing all the new mechanics. And now I'm raking in currency like crazy. Was I doing that from the get-go? Hell no. I struggled the beginning of the season because I had bad RNG, and just like everyone else, I didn't have a bunch of gear. I was wearing my free 4 links for the first couple days when I was, like in the 80s. I think I was still using a 4 link because I literally couldn't even get a 5 link on fusings until after about like 2,000 fusings. I finally got my 6 link. And then obviously I started making a bunch more currency because my character's stronger. That's another thing I'm going to touch on right now. If you have upgrades you can afford, buy them. 100%. Like, if you can make your character stronger and you're sitting on currency and you're not making your character stronger, unless you're planning on creating a new character because the character sucks. Because there is a very high chance that someone's going to watch this video that started a bad character and they're at a place right now where they've seen my build and they're like, my build can't do that shit, and I've invested a bunch of currency into it and I'm not even close to that. There is a certain point where you gotta cut your losses, if you got bad advice. Sticking with bad advice too long is just shooting yourself in the foot. And don't feel bad if you took bad advice on a build, you took bad advice on a farming technique. The thing is, the reason why I'm so knowledgeable about this stuff, the reason why it makes me upset when I hear bad information, is because I was new like you guys. I tried all of this stuff. I've tried all these methods. I've heard I've heard all this stuff and I've actually tested it. And what did I learn? That I wasted a shitload of time because the only thing I learned was that shit sucked. And have I had to re-roll characters? Yes, because when I was new, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. So I went and found guides that looked good and I built characters. My first character, I I couldn't even beat a guardian. Like and I had a shit ton invested because I just stuck with it. I stuck with it. I had 6 link Chevron wraps, and I I had a nice player help me out, so I had dope gear, but I still could not do shit in the game, and the character was slow and super slow, like super slow. I wound up rolling myself into an aura bot so that I could roll with other people because the character was so bad. Like and eventually I was just like, dude, I'm done playing this. I can't even kill stuff. I can't do bosses. Like literally the only thing I'm able to do is provide support for other people, which that is not fun for me. And that was not the build that was projected to me, but that was literally the most useful I could be with the stuff that I had been told to collect. And, looking back on it, they had showed me like clipped footage and they hadn't explained stuff and, they had deceived me and I believed it, and I wasted a shitload of time, and I was pretty pissed off when I had to reroll a character. And then I picked another build that someone was like, "Oh, this is the shit," and I do that build, and that build sucked. Like, and at that point, I was pretty much fed up, and I was like, I'm just gonna, read a bunch of skills. I'm gonna learn a bunch of stuff, and that's when I started, doing my own stuff, and that's what I've been doing. And that's when I started being really successful. That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of knowledge to be really good at it, but that's where I'm at right now. And if you try my stuff and it works for you, then you'll know that you'll be able to trust me and you can listen to my advice. You don't have to invest the time that I have invested. If if you listen to stuff I'm saying and you're like, I'm still making the same currency and the stuff you're saying doesn't make sense, then don't listen to me. I'm gonna tell you for a fact, if you actually listen to the stuff that I'm telling you to do, you are going to make more currency. The reason why is because I've tested all this stuff. I know it works. You aren't the first people that I'm telling to do this stuff. My friends were the first people. And they didn't listen to me in the beginning because we began the game together. So we all struggled. But the difference was is I finally was like, I'm done following the popular stuff because it's not working. And I mean, it's just misleading bullshit. And they stuck with they stuck with the the popular stuff and they suffered for it. I was making, my first season I was doing my own thing, I make a couple mirrors worth of currency and they're struggling all season. I wind up giving them gear and they're still under this delusion that, this is good though, man. Why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, it sucks, dude. And they just were like really stubborn, and I can be really stubborn, so I get that. But eventually, they're like, "Holy shit, man! Like season after season now, like you're just getting more and more currency." And then they tried out what I was doing, and immediately they're like, "Holy shit, dude! I have made more currency in the first 2 weeks of this new season than I made the entire season last season." And I'm like, "Dude, I've been telling you, like that shit doesn't work. Like this is what works." And I hope that you guys have as good of results as they do. Did my friends make as much currency as I was making? No, but they were extremely happy because they made the most currency they had ever made. Why did they make less currency than me? Because I've been practicing this. I'm the one that tested it. I know this stuff inside and out. So every single thing in the game, going back to you were probably expecting me to tell you to do one thing. It's a culmination of everything. It's knowing what to do when. It's knowing what's valuable. It's knowing when you should craft, when you should buy, um, using your currency correctly, which, like I'm saying, what is it that buying upgrades do? Like right now, if my build is suffering and I can buy an upgrade, which I'll tell you, I've got a couple upgrades. I really want to get an upgrade on my gloves, but literally the things that I need are not on the market. And I spent like 5 exalts yesterday trying to roll, just trying to just trying to spam with essences and chaos, trying to get better pairs of gloves because I've got stats on this that suck, and the rest of my gear is so good that there's I, I I'm not gonna try and upgrade them because it would take so much for me to upgrade my other pieces of gear. Like you're basically like the only things that I have margins on to upgrade, there's nothing on the market that I can buy. That's literally why I haven't upgraded. So it's just like the reason why I would upgrade is this. What is it that upgrading gear does? It makes you have more defenses, more damage, and you can, if you get all of your resistances on two items, what can you do with those other items? I can add more damage, I can add more movement speed. What does this do for me? It makes it easier for me to complete the content, it makes me faster at the content, there's less chances of me failing at content. It makes me more efficient, which is then in turn going to make me more currency. That's why I tell players, if you are hoarding currency and you don't have any reason for hoarding currency, when is it good to hoard currency? Say I want to get an upgrade. Say all of my gear, is perfect the way it is. I have no upgrades besides like mirror tier gear. So I either have to save a mirror or maybe like my one upgrade is this Watcher's Eye. I want to get a multi-stat Watcher's Eye. So I need like 30, 40, 50 exalts for that. So if I want to do that, obviously I've got to save up quite a bit of currency to buy that. Um, that would be an upgrade. At this point, for me personally, well, I have one more really big upgrade that I'm probably going to wind up, I don't know, investing a really stupid amount of currency into making. But in general, I'm pretty much done with this build. Those two items I need to upgrade, but everything else is, so good that, I can't find upgrades for them. The gloves is just I need weird stuff on them. So really my only choice is to try to roll it myself, which is really, really expensive because I have to use top tier essences to get a better pair, and then it has to randomly hit all of the stuff that I need. That's why, I dump in 5 or 6 exalts and I don't get anything, but I have the currency to do that, and it sucks because I burned a bunch of currency yesterday and I got nothing for it. But when I do eventually get it, that's going to be a big upgrade for me because that's my weakest item. I mean, like the main thing I need a bigger chaos resistance than what's on here, which means I need tier 1 chaos resistance and I need a higher life roll than what I have on here. And then I need other stats that are actually useful for me. That's what I need. And just the combination of a tier 1 chaos with, higher than 70 max life, like I'm shooting for like 89, 90, or like a dual mod, like 100 to 116, something like that. Like that's the type of shit I'm trying to upgrade to. So it's not easy to get that type of stuff. Um, which the only consistent way to get that high of chaos is to use the highest level chaos essence, which is like the most expensive essence this season. So that's the reason why I can burn 5 or 6 exalts and not expect it to have a better item. um, but I will go into crafting and stuff like that and how to do it so you have better chances to get stuff you need while also giving yourself a chance to make profits. That's going to be a whole nother video, um, because that's a pretty big subject. Um, so I've covered the, your investment versus, the capital you have to invest if I was buying, blight maps. And the thing you have to think about is you have to consider the factor of a failure rate. And keeping tracks of things like that gives you a realistic idea of what your real earnings are. Because, if I die in a map, what is it I lose? I lose a little bit of time. I lose experience, but I don't lose currency. The only thing I do is I increase the amount of time it takes me to beat that map. And even if I get wiped from the map, even if I die all 6 times and I fail the map, if it's just a regular map, I didn't really lose anything besides time. And why is that? Because maps drop like crazy. I mean, you saw I ran 3 maps in that one video, and I got what, like seven maps in 3 maps, and that was with one map not dropping any, one map dropping one. But one of them I got lucky, and I got 6 maps. I got 5 red maps, and an elder map. So you're gonna get a lot of maps. So like, I can't count those as currency because no one's going to buy them. You might put a bunch up for sale, and there's someone that needs one map on their atlas, and you might one time sell a map, but like consistently selling them for currency now is not a viable source of income. So you can't count that as currency, and they don't cost you anything to get. Um, the next thing I'm gonna touch on, because this is a big one. Um, I saw a couple videos about it, and it's bad advice. People telling people to make it's bad advice for most players. I'm gonna explain to you the difference. The problem with a lot of the advice that people give to general people is they don't explain why it works for them. They just say, I make this much doing this. And the simple fact is, for instance, making a boss killer. If someone's advising you at this point in the season to make a boss killer and telling you that it's going to make you a bunch of currency, what is it we have? We have opportunity cost. How long realistically is it going to take you, and you can answer yourself this, to create a new character and level it up to like at level 80, 90? How much is it going to cost you to equip that character? And then on top of that, do you know how to even do the fight that they are telling you to do? Because I've seen videos already that are like, make this build and you'll beat Cirrus every time. That's bullshit. I'm telling you 100% that is bullshit. There's no magical I throw on these three unique items and I create this character and it magically can do the fight without me knowing how the fight works. There's a video on the internet of a dude in all mirror tier gear, and he gets hit by the meteor, and that shit does 10,000 damage to his energy shield. Do you think that a character that has a few uniques on it and no investment on it, and you don't know the fight, and you're getting hit by that shit, you think you're gonna beat that fight every time? Hell no. You're probably gonna wind up dying to the storm, because if you don't know the mechanics of the fight, that storm is a biatch. Like, that is bad advice. That is very misleading advice. And the video I'm referring to, the person even admits, I've done this 30 times. And I, and he even says he failed, but he's saying that with this build, he's gonna beat it every time because he got this one video where, he beat it deathless. So you're gonna do this every time. Just buy these few items that are worse than mine and ignore that I just admitted that I've attempted this 30 times. And it took me learning the mechanics to be able to finally beat it. But now I'm telling you, you without the experience are going to just throw on worse gear than mine, and you're going to beat it every time. Like, you have to listen to. I mean, I find that shit funny. Like, it's annoying, but it's also funny. It's like the trade bots. That's another example. People are trade bots. First of all, I mean, like I watch those videos. I've watched a couple of those videos, and I'm just like, I literally am laughing because the dude's like showing off his sweet loot, and he's like, I play like at least 10 hours a day trading, and look at all this loot. He's like, all of the everything this tab is worth, at least an exalt, and I know it's gonna sell for that. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, dude, there's like 300 of like most of the stuff in your inventory is unique items that there's like 300 of them on PoE Trade Network and they ain't selling for even a chaos and you're telling me you're guaranteed going to sell these for an exalt? Like, are people just giving you currency? Like like it's just really dumb stuff like that. But the thing I'm going to go back to on that is that video was portraying being a trade bot as like you're going to be rolling in the currency. But the thing is to actually be successful at being a trade bot, you need to have knowledge of everything that you're working with. You also need to understand patterns of, currency going up in value, going down in value, when that's going to happen, how that's going to happen. Um, you need to know whether a unique item is going to, you need to be able to know projections for whether a unique item is going to go up in value, go down in value, or you have to have so much currency that you can literally buy up the entire market and every single version of that item that comes onto the market and control the market price. That is how people that are actually successful at doing that are successful at doing that. And the thing is I see these people that are actually successful at doing it and they're like, I've got so much currency. And I'm like, uh, not really, dude. And you're not even playing the game. Like, eh, if that's your thing, if you want to be a trade bot, I'm the wrong person because I think it's stupid. I think it's funny to watch the people doing it, but you have to also understand there's one biggest factor in being a trade bot. You have to be on like all the time in order to actually make currency doing it. If you don't have the time to be on 10 plus hours a day every day, you are not going to make currency in general because you have to be on to turn those items over for them to actually become a profit. Plain and simple. And I'm going to give you good examples that are going to tie into the boss killing. Let's look at boss killing items. So, one of the most valuable items like of this season, it was one of the it was the highest valued unique item for the beginning of the season, and up until a couple days ago, it was above 19 exalted orbs. 3 days ago, what is it at now? 5.4 exalts. It it's dropped to almost a quarter of its value in 4 days. So for boss kills, this is important because if you're creating a character to farm boss kills, well, do you understand um, how much those items are going to diminish in value? And you also have to understand farming serious for one. There's long gaps in between being able to fight him because you have to spawn all of the guardians. It's a lot of maps around to spawn him. So there's huge breaks in between actually killing him or having attempts at killing him. This is the reason why Awakened Gems and the drops from him were so expensive because it was a new fight and people have to learn how to do it. You have to have the gear to be able to do it, and you have to have the knowledge of the fight to be able to do it. But the thing is now that knowledge is out there, and now people are getting to a place where they have the gear to be able to do it. So people are learning the fight or getting comfortable with the fight, and they're getting to the place where their gear is good enough to actually do the fight. This means there's going to be a massive influx of those items. The other thing is we look at the Shaper Elder items. Those are always in the beginning of the season really big ticket items. But the thing is after like the first 2 weeks, those items plummet. And why is it? Because there's a lot more people doing it. The people who really profit from boss killing are a very small group of people, and they are people that is what they do. At the beginning of the season, that's their specialty. They start with a boss killer, they rush right to the bosses, and they start getting the first kills of the bosses in the game, and then that's all that they do. Before, this was honestly more profitable. The reason why is because it was a lot easier to get Guardian maps. Guardian maps in previous leagues were, pretty cheap. This league, that is not the case because they're not on the Atlas, so they don't drop as much. You have to get them as a rare drop from completing a high tier map. So any of these Guardian maps are going to cost you like 40, 50 chaos. What does that mean? One attempt at Shaper, Elder, Uber Elder is going to cost you 4 maps, which means 160 chaos to 200 chaos investment to have one try. If, you know, Shaper, Elder guaranteed one of these top tier drops, then yeah, right at this moment, it would be worthwhile if I was guaranteed to get a Void Fletcher by killing a Shaper. I would go do that because I'd invest, 160, 200 chaos. I'd kill him. I'd make 5.4 exalts. I'd underprice a little bit so it actually sells because the value is going to keep going down. Um, and I'd want to sell it right away before the value diminished. But the items are not guaranteed. I've killed them, and I ain't gotten shit that was good. Like I got garbage. Um, I think the best thing I got was like I haven't gotten a Watcher's Eye. Um, what unique did I get? I don't even remember because I'm pretty sure it was just like garbage. I was just like, oh, that sucks. Was it? I don't remember what it was. I don't know. It wasn't something valuable. Um, and that's what's going to happen a lot of the times is you're not going to be getting valuable items every time. So it's going to take you multiple runs to get one of those items. So you're investing a lot on each attempt to hopefully get one of those items. When they're 19 exalts, there's you can get a lot of tries in and then have the drop and it's still really profitable. Your profit margin starts severely diminishing, when it's only 5 exalts. You get what I'm saying? And you also have an opportunity cost. You could be doing something else. We're going back to the most basic thing, the thing I said you guys need to start doing right now. Run maps fast because it's low investment. Everyone can do it. That's the reason why I started you there. The reason why I started you there is because doing that is going to do a couple things for you. It's immediately going to start training you to play faster. So you're going to immediately start earning more currency. The other thing it's going to do, you notice that I have a lot of stuff. Like I got chisels, I got a lot of vol orbs, I've got a lot of sextants, I've got a lot of stuff in general. This is all of this stuff you're gonna end up using your scarabs. You're gonna use scarabs. You're gonna use vol orbs. You're gonna use sextants. You're gonna use chisels. You're gonna use all that stuff. You're probably gonna run out of some of the stuff once you start doing the advanced farming. You're gonna have to buy it, but you're gonna be making so much currency. You're just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna buy 1,000 chisels because I don't want to have to buy them again for the rest of the league. Like that's probably what I'm gonna do today, and I've got 283. But I don't want to have to be continually buying them. Um, so if I can buy them in large quantity one time and not have to worry about them for a long time, I mean, last season I did. I think I used like 10,000 chisels or something like that. So like 1,000 chisels really ain't that much. But I mean, like me speedrunning maps, I've killed like 1,133 map bosses, 1,141. Um, I ran a few maps when I started today, as I said. So I ran 8 maps. Um, so 3 exalts and 8 maps so far today. Something I'm also going to touch on. We've covered bossing. And the thing that I will say about these is, if you like doing or you want to get good at doing um, the guardians, the elder, if that's a goal for you, save the maps. If you already have them and you wanna, see if you can get a good item from them, go for it. But if you're not gonna use them, sell them. They're 40, 50 chaos a piece. Like I'm gonna do them, so I'm not gonna sell them, and I ain't hurting for currency, so I'm not gonna sell my what do I have in here? 11 maps and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got more in my stash tab. I don't know, probably like 20 of them. It's like 1,000 chaos in maps. Like if I was hurting for currency, I would sell those. I know I'm gonna get more. Um, it's it's not something, but I like to keep all the stuff that I have. I'm not the type of person that sells everything. I use it, and I don't want to have to buy stuff that I don't want to sell stuff that I'm gonna have to buy later because I'm gonna use it. Um, it's same thing with the blight maps. If you don't want to do blight maps, I totally understand that. They're probably at the lowest price that they're going to be all season if you have high tier ones. So, if you're considering doing them later on, the smartest thing for you to do, the other reason why I told you to get started on running maps fast, and I want you to start saving up this other stuff. This is the reason why. When is it that blight maps are going to be the hardest for you? In the gear that you're in right now. Because your gear is going to get better. So if you wait till you have collected 20 blight maps, how much better is your gear going to be in the time that it takes you to collect 20 blight maps? Do you think that it's going to be easier to do those blight maps? And the blight maps aren't going to devalue. I'm telling you that for a fact. First of all, if you're going to run them yourself, there's no way that they can devalue because you're going to be taking the loot out of them. They might spike up to some crazy price like they did last season, like 100 plus chaos per map. Then they might be worth just selling because I mean, if you got 20 of them at that point, you're talking about 2,000 chaos. That might be a lot of currency for you, and you don't have to invest the time to do that. It's just a quick sale. Um, so at that point, it could be worthwhile to sell them, even if you're just looking at them for profit. Um, But the other thing on that is, I don't know, that if that happens, when that happens, I'll cover that. But right now, they're at a place where they're still definitely worthwhile to run if you are interested in running them, but they're still high enough you could legitimately sell them for a profit if you just don't like blight maps. I totally get that. Last thing I'm going to touch on is delving. Delving is the worst currency generating mechanic in the game. Plain and simple, it's terrible. And I'm going to prove this to you. And I say stuff like this and people get mad and I like delving, like you're wrong. What am I saying? I'm saying it's the worst at generating currency. I'm not saying delving is gay. I'm not saying people who like to delve are gay. I'm not saying you're stupid if you like delving. I'm saying it's bad for currency, which that's a fact. I'm not belittling you for liking it. The most important thing in this game, it's a game, is enjoyment. Like you're obviously watching these videos because you want to make currency. That's going to be enjoyable for you to have currency. I'm going to tell you for a fact. I like having a lot of currency, and I have more fun when I have a lot of currency because I can do whatever it is that I want, and struggling for currency is not fun for me. So, the beginning of the season, I farm currency as efficiently as possible so that later on in the season, I can do whatever I want. I can make 10 builds. I can, if I decide I want to play nothing but blight maps for fun, I can just buy blight maps because I saved up a shitload of currency and I'm not really worried about currency because I've already made my builds. They're already maxed out gear, and the currency getting towards the end of the season or when I stop playing the season is just going to wind up in in standard. So I don't have any reason to hold on to it anymore because the season's going to be done and I don't play standard. um, so there's I'm going to make it real simple on delving. First of all, the biggest exclusive thing to delving is fossils. Second, I'm gonna actually move my screen. Uh, Unlock. Uh, I don't know if I can. Okay, so these are the fossils that I have. You can see that I have a lot of fossils. How did I get all of these fossils? Um, it sure wasn't delving. Um, like I'll tell you that for a fact. You want to see where my delve's at this season? Oh, I've never even been here this season. It's my first time to even come to my Azurite mine. Why is that? Because I have delved really deep, well, really deep for most people. I've gone down to like depth like 800. Um, and why did I do that? I did it because people were like, the loot's so crazy in Delve, man. So crazy. Depth 200. Loot's everywhere. Best loot in the game. Delve, delve, delve. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go delve. And I'm like, man, the loot really sucks in the beginning of this. And they're like, no, depth 200. Best loot ever. Delve, delve, delve. And I get to 200 pretty quickly. And then what? Am I like? Am I like? I'm like, Delve's the shit, man. Like you were right. It's the best. I'm making so much loot. No, I was like, this sucks. The loot is terrible. And then what was I told? Oh man, you gotta go to depth 300. Depth 300 is where it's at. Crazy loot. Delve, delve, delve. Best loot ever. And what did I do? I go to depth 300. And then people are like, no, 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 no. Depth 500. That's where it's crazy, man. That's where it's crazy. And I delve down to 500. And maybe I see a small increase in loot. And that's mostly just related to random drops for the item level. it still sucks really, really badly. And they're like, no, 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 man, you gotta go to depth 700. It's crazy. So, once again, I delved deeper. And it was just kept on being the same thing. And when someone told me, no, man, you gotta go to depth 1000, I was like, no, man, I don't, because delving fucking sucks for loot. And yeah, that's when I stopped delving for loot. Have I delved since then for fun or for other reasons? Yes, because, like last season, for instance, I think I went to like maybe like depth. I don't even remember honestly. Probably like 300, 400, 500, something like that. I don't even remember honestly. Um, but also to give you an idea of how many delves it took me to get to depth 800. When I did that, it was not like it was last season. Last season they switched it so that when you delve, one dive is one level. That shit was not like that. So if you are new and you're thinking, "Oh, that's only like 800 delves." Hell no, that was like 2 or 3,000 delves to get to that point. And the loot was terrible. And this is what makes delving really, really bad. This little bar, sulfite, what is it that I have to do to actually collect sulfite? To actually delve, I have to collect sulfite. So, what is my earnings? It is the combination of collecting sulfite to delving. And how is it that I see how much currency I'm actually making? If I did get to some magical place where now the loot is crazy and I'm like, this loot's crazy, guys. Look at Delve 2000, the best loot ever. Like, can I be like, all right, I'm gonna get to Delve 2000, and now my loot is better than now I've made more currency? Hell no, because it took me all of the time before that making bad currency to get to this point where now it's good. So my earnings is an average of all of this negative zone averaged together with the good zone and all of the time that I'm spending collecting sulfite. This is why delving is so bad. Are there people that are delve racers that get to like depth 5,000 and people are like, holy shit, look at their gear? This is what I'm going to tell you. When you're at the place where you have done 5,000 delves and you are playing one character, you could be farming the worst, you could be farming the worst currency method in the game and you're still going to have good gear unless you literally just threw away your currency. Because doing anything that many times is going to add up. Even if every delve I'm making, one chaos, that's still 5,000 chaos. Which before, that would have been like 15,000 chaos because it would have taken you like 15,000 things, and then it would have also taken you all those maps. So every time you did one of those things, if you made one chaos, you'd probably have about 60,000 chaos, which that would be just by sheer numbers that would be the equivalent to three mirrors. So like even assuming that they're like previous, like now, it would be less. It would only be like 5,000. You could say probably like 5,000. The thing is in the beginning, it's really easy to get sulfite. But as soon as you start getting lower, your sulfite cost gets crazy. So you wind up spending even more and more time trying to get sulfite. So we'll say it's a 1-to-1, which is a pretty safe thing. I mean, it's just so much. If right now I had done 10,000 maps, even if I was farming 50% less efficiency, like even if I was only making half the currency I'm making now, if I've done 10,000 maps, you know, I'm going to have more currency. Could I have had twice as much currency if I was doing something smart? Yes. The thing is which do you want to do? Do you want to be earning the most currency for each map, or do you just want to be like, I don't really care what I do, I'm just going to do a shitload of it? Like, most people don't have the time to do that many. Honestly, I won't even do that many because after 10,000 maps, I won't make it to 10,000 maps this season. I'm telling you that. There's a lot to do in this season, but I'm probably gonna get burnt out. And I'll get tired of the stuff and I'll want to do something else and I'll wait for new content or I'll slow down like a shitload, and I'll be playing more casually, because it's not as new. And if you play something too much, you're not as interested, or you know, like 10,000 of one thing would get really boring. But doing everything and having fun and then having a shitload of currency and being able to do whatever you want because you've already made all your currency, that's more fun to me. That's what keeps me around in the game for long. I mean, like, even doing the level 100 race, that got a little bit tedious because, like, level 99 to 100 is like 1,000 to like 1,500 tier 16 maps, just speed running, like, doing them as fast as you can over and over again. And I made a shitload of currency doing that. I made like five mirrors in that time, which is like, you know, I could have been like, do, I could have said do anything and just look at my gear, and that's my proof. And if I wasn't like, well, just my last level, I ran over 1,000 maps, so I didn't really have to be making that good a currency, which I was, but you get what I'm saying. You can't just look at someone's gear and be like, well, they got good gear, so, their advice has to be right. You have to think about realistically, if they're at Dell 5000, how much have they played to get into that gear? So that is a factor. What this video is about, what these videos are about, is whatever your time is, earn the most that you can. Because most people don't have the time, probably wouldn't even have the want to do one thing 10,000 times, or even 5,000 times. Like I said, after the 1,500 or the 1,000 to 1,500 maps, because I did solo play for my 100 race. I wasn't playing with a team. Um, I was playing by myself, and that became tedious. It became like work at that point. So I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine doing like 10,000 delves. Like, I was sick of it around 500, and I pushed a little bit farther to see if it did get better. But I was sick of it, like really sick of it. Um, so that wasn't fun for me. But doing this stuff, you're going to get to do a lot of stuff. So it's going to keep it more interesting. And the cool thing is this method that we're going to be using is going to be the most profitable because we're going to be taking advantage of all of the most profitable mechanics. You'll have some choice in those. Like I've said, if you don't want to do guardian maps, they're good to sell. And it doesn't take you much time to sell a map, and they're high enough value that it's actually worth the trade time, like 40, 50 chaos for a trade. That's worth it. Um, if they get really low, if they start getting like they were in past seasons when they weren't as rare and they're only like, like 10 chaos or something like that, then there's probably going to be a certain point where you're not going to want to have a bunch of maps in your inventory and constantly be getting whispered about making 10 chaos when, you're selling items that are 10, 20, 30 exalts. It's just not going to make sense to you. And, the exalted orb is going to should hit around like 200 to 220 chaos in like the peak of the season, and then it'll stick around like 180 to 200 chaos for most of the season, and then towards the end it'll dip back down to around where it is now, like around 150. But that's just because people are going to start chewing them up by spamming them on items because they're wasting currency because it's the end of the season. um, but selling, you know, one 1/20th of a exalted orb when your stash tabs are full of multiple exalt value items. It's just, you'd rather play than constantly deal with these little tiny microtransactions when you have that much currency. So I think we've covered a lot in this video. I think that I've made it very clear, the difference between having low investment on something, um, not banking on not banking on something that's not guaranteed. You have to do a risk reward analysis for every action that it is that you're taking, and you have to consider your opportunity cost. You need to do a lot of the speed running, the regular maps. Like that's your initial goal. And why is that? Like I said, it's going to stock you up on good stuff. You got to think about it like this. It's going to stock you up on your blight maps because the faster you're running those maps, the more times you have a chance to encounter the blight maps. Which what are those blight maps? They money, baby. Whether you're going to sell them or whether you're going to you do them yourself. Either way, it's money. And you're going to be stocking that up. And then, like I said, kind of like with the maps, run them fast. So if you find a blight map, every time you find a blight map, do not drop what you're doing, change your inventory, roll the map, run one blight map, clean up that map, then, recollect all your stuff. Like that's inefficient. It's kind of the same thing with the metamorphs. Do it save up at least 5 of them. Why would I say like 5? Or I'd say probably like 6. Make sure you have at least 6 before you do a metamorph. And why is that? Because when you have 6, you could take and the most efficient way that I'm thinking to run these is to put three sets of metamorphs into your tab. So I'd go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go in here. I'm not gonna actually do it. This video is already getting long. Kill 3 bosses, collect all the loot that's valuable. Once you've picked up everything that's valuable, jump in here, go to your hideout, immediately go back in. Why is it that we do this? Because once you've determined that everything else that's on the ground is garbage, you don't want to have to sift through it again. That's going to be inefficient. Leaving the area and coming back in removes all of that stuff. So if you still have good stuff on the ground, don't leave your encounter. But what does this do? This makes it so that we're more efficient. Obviously, if I go in there with 3 of them in my inventory, I can run all 3 at once. That saves me a lot of time. How much extra time is it gonna take me if every time I collect 5 of those, I'm like, oh, I just got one from a map. I'm gonna stop doing maps and I'm gonna run over here and I'm gonna go here and then I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna do my one thing. I'm gonna collect my loot. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna pull my maps back out. I'm going to start running them again, and then 5 maps later, what's going to happen? You're going to have another one. So then you're going to run out, and which is more efficient to do this process 3 times or 6 times, or to one time go here, put 3 of them in your inventory, kill all 3 in a row, collect your loot, and I did not do this in my other video. I was playing extremely lazy. I feel like shit. I was fucking around. That is not how you efficiently farm metamorphs. So keep that in mind. I mean, honestly, I'm not even playing that efficiently if I'm recording at all because I'm not that good at playing when I'm recording. I can't really. I'm kind of new at at doing the recording thing, so I'm not very good at it. So staying focused on efficiently doing a map and also staying focused on talking about the content is not something I do very well. But you can kind of see that a little bit in when I do that high tier map in the first video. I play different. And why is it that I switched into a different play way? The reason why is because it was a dangerous map and I had experience. I had to actually focus because I didn't want to lose experience. And that's more of the way that I play when I'm not recording because I have to focus. But if I'm not focused, I'm not paying as much attention to what I'm saying um, because I'm intensely focused on the map. I don't want to fuck up and I don't want to lose experience, um, which I do die a lot when I'm recording, a lot more than usual because I'm talking, I'm distracted, I'm looking at my screen, I'm doing other things. Anyways, you guys have gotten a lot of information in this video. I hope what you take away from this is it gives you I hope it gives you a good understanding of why things are better than other things. I've given you reasons. saying something is better than something else does not mean that you cannot generate currency doing something else. It just means that it's not better. Um, and because you like something and I say it's not the best way to generate currency, you don't have to be upset about that. I like doing stuff in the game that is not the best way to earn currency. I do stuff like that all the time. One of the things I like to do, I like to mess around with my friends. Do you think I'm making a lot of currency when I'm messing around with my friends? And I like to make videos for people. Do you think um, I'm maximizing my currency right now making this video? I've been standing around for an hour. Like my character's been just sitting here. Do you know how much currency I could have made in that hour? I made 3 exalts at 8 maps, which took me like, half an hour or less, and I gained a level. Like, and I spent an hour sitting here doing this. I could probably almost have another level, and I'd probably have another six exalts. So obviously, I'm not always farming, at maximum capacity. I do things for enjoyment. It's a game. I enjoy the game. Um, I like making a shitload of currency, but it's because I have goals, and it's more fun to play with, badass gear and, to soup them up and all that stuff. And it's also fun to, if I want to buy maps or if I want to play something, I can just buy it. I ain't got to worry about it. I ain't got to be like, oh man, I'm gonna have to save up currency, and then I don't know if I want to spend it because it's gonna be hard for me to get back. I don't know if I'll get my currency back, and I might need it later. I'm like, hell no. If I want something, I buy that shit. I know I'm gonna make currency, and that's where you guys will get. If you have gaming time, you should be earning currency during that gaming time if you want to be earning currency. But if you want to do something else for fun, don't feel bad about that. You don't need to defend it. It doesn't change the fact that something might be better than your favorite thing to do in the game as far as earning currency. Like the Vol Temple, that shit sucks. Like I don't even do this chick. This is my first temple, and I have not done it because the Temple of Atzil is horrible loot. Like she's not bad for adding quantity to your map, but like I don't even mess with that shit. Like there are some things that you can do. You can upgrade certain rooms. You can go for double vol corrupts. There is stuff that you can do with it, but the simple fact is you have to get the temple right, and then you have to get the temple right so everything is connected. And then what happens? So, like, if I want to clear my whole temple on this one, this is a pretty good temple. But what is it that I have to do if I'm going to clear this temple? I'm going to have to go up here, and I'm going to have to go down here, and then I'm going to have to retrace all of this steps if I want to clear the whole thing. That ain't efficient. And, your temples aren't even always going to look this good. Like, you're probably going to wind up with some ugly ass temples where you're going to be retracing state steps, and that shit's just, in my opinion, a huge waste of time when I'm trying to earn currency. If I have to do it for a challenge, when I do my challenges, I do them at the end of the season when I'm already in boss ass gear. And the reason why is because just farming, I'm going to complete a lot of my challenges. Just playing, I'm going to complete a lot of the challenge. But I want to get my wings. Like I always go for, well, I guess we don't get wings this season. But I always want to get my free loot. I don't care about the top totem. Like, it's just so much extra. Where are my blight wings? There are my blight wings. Yeah, blight wings. Um, but I want that stuff, you know. So I go for those, but I do that shit at the end of the season when I can, if I need a certain thing that spawns, I can just go on forums and I can buy that shit. If I need a certain strong box, I'll just post, I'll pay 5 exalts for the strong box because I haven't been able to find it all season by random luck. Am I gonna just keep on trying to find it? Hell no. I'm just gonna put up an offer for 5 exalts. I'm not gonna use my currency for anything after the season's over, and I got a bunch of extra currency. I'm just gonna buy it, and that's a really fast way and efficient way to complete challenges. If I've got a build that's bad or I can't find like some really rare boss, I can pay someone to do that for me. Like I don't know. I mean, if you enjoy doing that stuff and hunting down the challenges, then have fun doing it. But if you don't, you can do what I just said. If you can't find a certain strong box, like I had a buddy that couldn't find a strong box, and I was like, dude, just just buy one. Just go onto one of the channels and tell him you'll buy one because he's like complaining, I can't find it. I've done so many. I'm buying the scarabs, doing these chests. I can't find this strong box. And I was like, dude, all that time you're wasting, you're not enjoying it. Just offer to buy it. And it took him like hardly no time to find someone to sell it to him. If you're not enjoying something, just throw currency at it. Um, Anyways, I hope this video helps you guys. We will start getting into more specific stuff. This is kind of just giving you that correct mindset, the way to think about things. You got to think about your opportunity costs. You got to think about your capital investments. Um, and with those things and understanding the reason why, I'm not going to touch things to earn currency is a good starting place. And like I said, I've now given you the reason why I started you with running maps. You don't require currency to invest. You don't need capital to get into it. I'm not telling you you got to, buy this specific stuff and start investing all of this currency. No, I'm telling you how to start making currency right now. This is how I started making currency right away. And then once I have a lot more currency, then I can start comfortably doing the farming methods that take investment. And we'll get into those eventually. Anyways, this video's gotten long, so peace.